Today we have Julie Wolk with us today of Julie Wolk Coaching. How are you doing, Julie?
I'm doing great. Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. We are so thrilled to have you on. And of course, we want to know, what is the story of how you got to where you are today?
Well, thanks for asking.
Of
Well,
course.
I'll tell you from like the 15 years ago version.
Okay.
Probably the most interesting, relevant part. After like an early career in environmental advocacy and organizing, been a nature freak my whole life. I co-founded a nonprofit with a friend that's dedicated to reconnecting people to the earth, and it was profoundly purposeful to me at that time, and it felt
Mhm.
like like the rightest thing I'd ever done. We were bringing people
Yeah.
together in community and nature, and these are like all my values, right?
Hmm.
And so um, it was beautiful work, and we were successful, in our endeavors. And the thing was that I was like working harder and harder and harder. Like we'd grow a little and I would just work harder. We'd grow more and I'd work
Hmm.
harder. And it was just like this out of control thing. I'm like up late at night with
Hmm.
spreadsheets dancing through my head. Like, am I going to be able to pay everybody? And,
Hmm.
trying to figure out how to do all these things myself, and
Hmm.
that I'd never done before. And it was like totally exhausting, and
I can
I
imagine.
got to this point where, not only was I not enjoying it anymore, I wasn't feeling as on purpose, right? Because we had started the organization, it was all about nature and community and connection, and now I'm just like logistics. I was just logistics. I was like dying inside, and
Hmm.
I was getting super burnt out, and so I, basically worked my ass off for 7 years to the
Okay.
point of burnout, and I had to take a sabbatical to recover from it. I mean, I say I had to. I'm also privileged enough to be able to have done that at that time,
Okay.
for sure. And I was in rough shape, and I needed some time to like slow down and disconnect. And I spent a good chunk of that time in nature and just reconnecting to a
Hmm.
more natural, sane pace of life.
Hmm.
And I was swimming and playing in waterfalls, and
Oh, yay.
it was a beautiful, there was like 1 month in particular where I got to go to Hawaii and just really follow my heart,
Hmm.
like instead of waking up, be like, what do I have to do
Or a
today?
paycheck or to-do list. Yeah, it's you,
Right.
whatever you're flowing towards.
Yes, exactly. What does my heart want to do right now?
Hmm.
It was like revolutionary, right?
Hmm.
To just make decisions in that way. And I really, I when I was got slowed down enough, what naturally happens when you finally peel away the layers and slow down is like this space opens up, right? And in that space, I mean, I went into this retreat, I remember, I went into this kind of sabbatical period, like I never want to work again, like
Okay, right.
I hope I married
This is
somebody
great.
like I'm not going to work, this
Hmm.
sucks, and after some time, this space opened up, right? And inside of that space, there was like all this room for inspiration came
Hmm.
through, and like new ideas and new motivation to do work in the world. And I had a kind of profoundly obvious aha moment, right? That we're not actually robots, right? We can't just, you know, boom, boom, chug, 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 chug along in
Right.
nonstop. We're actually human animals, right? Like
Hmm.
we are of this earth, and we have to follow this natural rhythm of ebb and flow. And we live in this society that says like flow, 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 action, 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 action,
Right.
action.
2 seconds of rest. That's it.
Exactly. But when you look at the natural cycle, you see like for every day there's a night, and it's
Hmm.
equal. I mean, over the course of the year, it's equal,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
for every summer, there's a winter. Like these are just natural facts. And what I was tapping into is like, oh, we need to use the ebb and the natural cycle
Hmm.
to fuel the flow.
Flow. Hmm.
That is the natural way of being. And so I kind of went back to the drawing board, and I'm like, I love helping people manifest vision into reality. So I'm like, how can I help other people grow their businesses in a way that's actually more tuned in to this natural, normal rhythm instead of this high paced insanity that our society is like promoting as the way, the hustle, the
Hmm.
grind, the more and more and more. And so it's, and so I kind of created a system around that based on, natural rhythms where, I was integrating kind of what I learned from the nature and ritual world into my actual management and business experience. And
Okay.
it's a system that allows people to have that kind of necessary pause
Mm-hmm.
to get internally aligned
Okay.
and to then create a strategy that's based on like, what do I actually want?
Okay.
What's actually needed for me in my life right now? And then what do I want to create that feels really good? Instead of just like head down, like just going, there's this pulling back and getting more
Mm-hmm.
aligned, strategic, streamlined focus. And I've helped a lot of folks, including myself, create really sustainable businesses that way.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then you mentioned helping people, of course, kind of have a balance. So then who specifically do you serve and what problems do you help them solve?
Yeah. I mean, I tend to work with women entrepreneurs, like in the coaching and consulting and service-based business realms. I worked with
Okay.
also people with like chefs and people like that too. And generally women who are like working a little too hard, right? Like I'm kind of the overachiever
Yeah,
type,
me
right?
too.
Yeah,
Perfectionist, everything. Yeah.
all that stuff, right? So I mean, I tend to work with people who need someone to tell them to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
not people who are like, like kind of stuck and not moving forward so much.
Mm-hmm.
There are amazing coaches out there who help people like that, but that's not how
That's
my
what
brain
you right.
works. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I do the people who, and they're with established businesses. So it's usually people they're already like bringing money into their business. Like they might be at the 600, or the 6K level, right?
Right.
But they're working too hard for their money.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to do, what I help people do is take a step back and look at, again, get aligned, strategic, create more space in the business, and then look for all these ways that we can close up like time and energy and money leaks to
Mm-hmm.
create more room to design the kind of offerings that are really going to serve your clients better, serve you
Okay.
better, get all the systems and get everything so that it's streamlined and just more easeful.
So it's basically like almost a big efficiency plan in a way, but it's internal first. Like you said, teaching people to slow down, how that can even apply to business. It doesn't have to be the typical entrepreneurial spirit of I have to go and wear all the hats and crush myself, basically.
Right. And then you like do wearing all the hats. That's like another piece of it is what is the ecosystem of support that I need to create? Because we have this like go it alone, especially the overachievers, like I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to figure it out. It'll be easier and faster that way. It'll be cheaper. And none of those things are true. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
once in a while, sometimes they are,
Right.
of course, but like we get into that habit
Mm-hmm.
and then we keep making decisions like that and we find ourselves isolated and trying to do everything and getting burned out and actually wasting money too.
Right. Because I'm tired.
I'm tired and like, or I tried to do it myself and I did it wrong and I had to
Mm-hmm.
back up and then hire somebody to fix my
Right. Now I'm upset because we just went backwards.
exactly.
And so, do you ever have to kind of convince certain clients of, like I said, because the way our society is set up, that there's a certain way to do things, you ever have to convince them, like, no, let me help you, let me show you. And really, if you pull back, you actually can go forward. Is there any sort of convincing that ever has to happen with clients?
Well, yeah, I feel like that's my kind of my mission on the planet. I mean, I'm not going to convince people who are like totally dedicated to that way of being.
Of course.
But for anybody who's doubted that way of being, who anybody who's in it, in the hustle, like if you're
Mhm.
feeling like I'm in this grind and I'm in this hustle and I this just doesn't feel good anymore,
Mhm.
like what I would say is, yeah, it is a big leap of faith to slow down and think like things are going to still somehow happen and you're going to still achieve what you want to achieve doing less. Like it's a leap of faith, absolutely. And the first step usually in my business is getting people to sign up for a retreat because then it's like, okay, put the money down. I'm going to take these 3 days or these 4 days off, right?
Mm.
And
To get a taste.
and to do that work, right? And then to see like, oh, wait a minute, I can cut that whole thing out that I've been doing. I don't even want to do it anymore. That was like a big should. What if I cut that out and I did this instead? Now I'm excited. Oh, and this person can help me. And then like things can get back into a more like strategic, streamlined flow instead of the like chaotic trying to do everything. So yeah, I mean, I do have to convince people, and it's kind of what I'm here to do on some level,
Mhm.
because I've seen the rewards of that,
Mhm.
in me and my clients of And for me, a lot of it is like getting out into nature too, right? Like I infuse a lot of nature into my work. And so
Okay.
my retreats, even now virtually, I'm sending people out into nature
Mm-hmm.
to slow down and listen to themselves and listen to Mama Earth and be like, what's here for me that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
seeing in my staring at the computer screen all day
Mm-hmm.
mode.
Is there a way to incorporate, I'm just curious if you found ways to incorporate, because people are having to be home so much, to incorporate the nature aspect even into your home, whether, I know, buying plants, I don't know too much about that, but I'm curious just if you've had to get innovative now that people are at home so much.
Right. Well, I mean, the way I've had to get, I mean, I think the good part is at least, it appears to be safe to be outside. It's like the one place it is safe to be, right, is outside. So part of it is just like getting out of work mode and being like, no, I am going to go on a walk today. Like I'm going to
Okay.
get out of the freaking house. Where I've had to get creative is like, maybe usually I would do a retreat at a retreat center, and I'm about to host a retreat where people are going to create their own little retreat centers, like in
Mm-hmm.
their homes or at an Airbnb, right? And
Okay.
they'll be able to do this deep slowing down work and
Mm-hmm.
reflection and then realignment and goal setting and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So then would you say that as far as reconnecting with nature is your favorite energy practice?
Yeah. It's
Like,
kind of, it's my grounding place. And
mm-hmm.
you were speaking before about bringing nature inside. I mean, absolutely, for me, it's going outside and remembering, even just like stepping out on the porch and taking a few deep breaths. A colleague of mine was just saying that every morning, she's super busy lawyer, she's got 2 kids. She goes every morning and has her cup of tea outside and takes off her
Mm-hmm.
socks and shoes and puts her feet on the earth for 5 minutes, 10 minutes while she's drinking her tea. And like, this is what an amazing way to start the day, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's, even if it's those little moments, uh, that kind of keeps me going. And also just even feeling when I'm sitting in my chair, just feeling the earth's energy supporting me,
Mm-hmm.
breathing in the energy of the earth and the support of the earth, and knowing that's a huge resource for us always.
And naturally too, don't necessarily have to buy anything. Nature is there.
It's here for us and we're part of it. It's like not even like nature's there. It's like we're nature, we're
Part.
part of this whole thing, and we forget that. But this is us.
And that's what I was about to say. I think I just forgot that. It's like we are literally a part of the natural cycle. And like you said, we just have these expectations of ourselves, almost like robots, where it's like that's not what we are. We're humans and we're a part of the natural cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how do you then live purposefully? Obviously, you've helped people to reconnect and everything. How do you just keep yourself at that high performance and just continue to help people like you do?
I do a lot of stepping back and
Mhm.
realigning. And I'll say, especially this past year, oh my God,
Right.
like
Yes.
the amount of kind of kind of like shifting and resetting goals, and like, oh wow, this just got more intense. I don't know if I can even handle doing this anymore. So for me,
Mhm.
it's a practice of taking a step back, and instead of just blazing through the to-do list just because it's there, it's actually more than usual, more frequently than usual, is taking the step back and looking at, okay, what do I need to accomplish? What do I want
Mhm.
to accomplish? Is what I have laid out the best, simplest pathway through? And maybe now it's because, my daughter needs something, or maybe
Okay.
it's because whatever, like my parents couldn't fly in, right? They're
Mhm.
going to come for Thanksgiving and help with the kid, and they're not
Yeah.
here, So like, it's what do I need to adjust to make it more realistic for me, instead of holding myself to goals that could burn me out, goals and deadlines in particular. Like goals, maybe I
Mhm.
keep a goal, but maybe I give myself a little more time. And I think especially as overachiever types, we do this thing where uh, we like beat ourselves up if we don't hit the goal on
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
And I have to do a lot of work on that myself, but that's what this year has been for me. It's just a constant like triaging, actually, of what's true, what's
Mhm.
needed, what feels right, what can I actually
Right.
manage, and like lowering some expectations,
Yes.
being real. This is a hard,
Mhm.
I mean, being an entrepreneur is never like easy. I'm never going to say it's like, oh, this is an easy thing to
Yeah.
do, right? No, but but like, especially this year, we really need to
Mhm.
give ourselves a break, like compassion, compassion, compassion.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just curious. So, what is your favorite, I guess, form of nature? Like, is it beach, a forest, by a campfire, snow? I'm curious.
That's a great question. I'm like, is it like mountains or ocean? Because we're considering moving to Oregon, closer to the mountains.
Okay.
And I usually live in Oakland, and we have a view of the ocean. And the ocean stops my heart, you know, like,
I'm from San Diego, so I understand. Love the beach.
yeah, I love the beach. There's just something so powerful about sitting next to the ocean
And
and
water is just,
the,
yes.
the waves. It's just like, it's so calming. It's so, makes me little in this like really good way, you know,
Yeah.
but connected. And so the ocean is spectacular. And then I'm really happy, like deep in the woods too, you
Me
know, it's
too.
really
Yeah.
moist redwood forest. I'm like, yum, 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 you know? So I don't
I
know.
I think it's just the factors of like we're just so small, even though we're a part of it, these huge things. I mean, water, no control over. How these trees grow, no control over. It's fascinating.
It is. It is. And if you just like sit and spend enough time, just kind of like, if you have that spaciousness to just stare at the ocean for half an hour, you start to, all these things start to, you're like, oh, and the ocean
Underrated.
and the ebb and the flow of the waves. And like, that's
Yes.
where I got this, like the ebb fuels the flow, right? Because
Hmm.
the wave
Hmm.
goes out and then it comes back in. And
Yes.
you just start like realizing things. Then you get your best ideas too. Like
Hmm.
all my best business ideas like have come when I finally unplugged from the work and I'm like staring at the ceiling or out in nature, you know?
Hmm. I love that. And so, for anyone who is interested in learning more about you as a coach, or just even want to connect with you, where are the best platforms to go to?
Well, I am on Instagram,
Okay.
relatively newly on Instagram, but I'm there. And so Julie C. Wolk is my handle. And then also my website is juliewolkcoaching.com. And those are the two best places to find me. I have an email list, obviously, and send out what I believe are really helpful, funny, down to earth emails about how to grow your business more easily, and got a lot of free content.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Julie Wolk. It has been such a pleasure having you on here.
Sure. Thank you so much. You know, one more thing I will mention,
Yes, please, of course.
just other than just going to my site, is that I do have a retreat coming up.
Okay.
And I mentioned that I do retreats quarterly. And so there's a big annual one that is this January, and it's called the Replenish Retreat. And it's 3 days of stepping back,
Mm.
reflecting on this last year, learning from it, and letting go, like releasing what we're like, okay, done with that. And then getting aligned, going out into nature, feeling ourselves, feeling what's like
Mm.
really true for us right now, and then realigning and setting goals and for this next year that actually makes sense for the new world that we're in, and
Right.
for like what our new circumstances are. And we're going to spend time on that retreat also closing up, like actually
Mhm.
closing up some of these time and energy and money leaks, so that you can create some more space in your business. So that's also on my website. It's the
Okay.
Replenish Retreat, and you can find all about it there.
Perfect. And it's in January?
Yep, January 14th.
Perfect. What a way to start 2021. Start the year off right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Julie, so much again.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great to be here.
Great to have you.
Take care, everyone.